Yo, what's good? It's Skano. Really, man, as I said before, I got a lot more things, on my priority list. FBAs in general, than these African immigrants that's chirping. But one thing that I've noticed, and this is what really disgusts me about y'all tethers. I see a gang of tether channels popping up where y'all call yourself discussing FBA topics. But really what y'all low-key doing, is shade. You're pushing the same narratives, you know what I'm saying? Basically that these races push. In the guise of being a concern, like y'all don't care about the FBA community. This is your opportunity. Y'all disgust me, man. If you ask these Africans why Africa is so dysfunctional and destabilized, they number one answers, I'm gonna tell you they top two answers. And this is without even speaking to y'all. Y'all gonna say the interference and the undermining of European, the European powers. And secondly, you will say corruption. And then we'll throw poverty in there too, But I notice on y'all little channels where y'all discussing FBA issues, if that's what you want to call it. As far as the violence, the different issues that's going on in the inner city, any area where it's poverty, these issues gonna be pervasive. But we discussing FBA communities. So y'all on your little channels, trying to put on full display every negative aspect of the black community that y'all can, in the guise of speaking on FBA topics. This is why I say y'all are the enemy. I consider y'all the enemy to me. You are. And it's not just because we can have these discussions. We need to have these discussions. Not with you Africans, I'm saying FBAs, and we do, But one thing I can't stand is disingenuous, bootlicking, clone tethers, you know what I'm saying, who want to jump on these narratives for some scratches behind their ears from your white Zaddy. Y'all disgust me, man. Y'all can't get the hell out of here quick enough for me. I think what a lot of people failing to realize, and this is the same old play. Let's not forget the CIA is the one who put drugs in our communities. The 60s, the 70s, primarily is when this shit ramped up in the 80s, but they was funneling cocaine into the inner city, from the 70s on. The CIA, our government, your government. For what? Well, for two reasons. To fuel this guerrilla warfare, they had Nicaragua, and I talked about this, but to re-emphasize this, there was a guerrilla faction that was, trying to overrun Nicaragua, and the U.S. had some political interest in Nicaragua, so to help fund that government with weapons, etc., they came up with the idea, why don't we just traffic cocaine? They didn't want to spend the government's money, America's money. So they came up, if you think it's cap, research it. So they've been funneling tons of cocaine, and what community you think they targeted? And that was the second part of the plan. Because they always been trying to undermine our communities and keep us in a state of destabilization. And that's what happened. And ever since, the progress that was made by FBAs in this country, leading up to the 70s, civil rights movements. How y'all think all that shit just fell off overnight, it seemed? In a matter of a couple summers, our inner cities went from being, to hellholes, war zones. So if y'all don't understand why I'm skeptical about this militarization and sending, this is what they do, man. This is not about making excuses. This is not about dodging accountability. This is about being real and seeing shit for what it is. Because, like I said, we do have issues in our community. This shit didn't start overnight. Now all of a sudden they so concerned with the crime in our communities. Where the hell y'all been for decades? I think a lot of y'all don't even know what it's like to live in these type of communities. A lot of this shit is overblown. Now, in certain cities like Chicago, Cleveland, and certain pockets where shit is turned. Do you think it was a plethora of opportunities available in these communities that shit would be the way it is? I'm not saying there wouldn't be crime at all, but do you think it would be turned the way it is? So don't lose focus of the fact that this government exasperates these conditions, these issues. How is it that these communities that they want to, send this military, response team, whatever you want, why are they defunding the police departments in these communities though? So you expect these law enforcement in these cities to deal with, all the issues they got to deal with after being defunded, less manpower, less resources, because I'm from these communities. I'm in these communities. And I know if you minding your business, 9 times out of 10, shit don't have nothing to do with you. But like I said, there's certain people that's caught up in what they caught up in. But most of y'all, and some of y'all live in the inner city, and y'all ain't seen a gunfight. Y'all ain't seen no shootings, no robberies, none of that. You hear about shit. So we got people that don't even live in these communities speaking on shit. So y'all think sending the military into these cities is going to fix the systemic issues, the economic issues that's going on in these cities? That's just like you gotta, you have an infection, a virus, but instead of treating a virus, you just keep taking cough medicine. How you can't treat the symptoms. Nobody trying to treat the cause, because they are the cause. You're not gonna sit here and tell me all black folks in this country ain't striving for progression. Why is it our communities are the least funded? The worst public school systems. So this war on drugs they created, late 70s, 80s, on into the 90s. This war on drugs, they did this same shit, man. I grew up in that era. In the 90s, police on every block, every time you couldn't turn around without seeing 12. And they was on our neck, whether you was thugging or whether you was just a law. And this is why I say this is the inherent risk in this shit. Y'all don't know what y'all be talking about. And I got somebody that jump on my channel and say something not right about this dude. You damn right something not right about me. If you had seen what I seen, something wouldn't be right about you either. So if you don't have nothing intellectual to add to the discussion, keep it moving, man. With that dry hating and shit. Y'all scary asses. Y'all don't know a lot of y'all ain't never even been in these type of communities. But this is what happened in the 90s. They overflood the community with 12. They turn up the harassment. I had my nephew stop on the way home from school. Dude, a straight A student at the time. He's grown now, but straight A student, honor roll. He was one of the few kids who went out here, caught up in the nonsense. Walking home from basketball practice, police, local, patrol stop him, giving him a hard time. This dude is 12 at the time. These cops, they know what they be doing. They harassing him. Now, when I go out, because, I go out there, I'm like, why are y'all even bothering him? You know what they told this dude? They said, we consider everybody in this community a criminal first, no matter what your way. This is what they said out of their mouth. So while y'all, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. So I don't believe flooding police and military into these. 20 years later, you know what that community looked like? Ain't shit changed. Yeah, the YNs that was terrorizing it now, they moved on, or they done got killed off or locked up, and then they get replaced. Because the same conditions still exist. So what did all that war against drugs do? The war against drugs. That the CIA actually, you know what I'm saying, was responsible for. Your government, like I said. So they can turn around and terrorize and criminalize these communities. So like I said, man, shout out to DC. Shout out to FBAs in DC who's saying that, they applaud this. And I hope that shit work out for y'all. I really do, man. Because I want our communities better. Mark my words. It start with, you know what I'm saying? They start off with heightening a police presence. But you got the same cops in these systems that, the same cops that's harassing black folks, killing black folks. And you expect me to have some type of, nah, I'd rather police my own community than depend on this government's law enforcement. Because like I said, they created the issues, the very issues they now want to turn around and demonize, you know what I'm saying, and criminalize the citizens of these communities that they are responsible for being in these conditions. Now I'm saying we can't dodge accountability, for our culpability but as I said, man, where you lack opportunities, you gonna get down how you live. And that ain't no excuse, that's just reality. So while you tethers, y'all quick to jump on here, y'all talking about how, they closing down our grocery stores and our communities because of the theft and they, their war zones, and it should be capped, man. It's theft in every goddamn retail demographic. White folks steal too. Stop this shit. And some of these communities that, stores in Cleveland, man, the Walmart, for instance. There was only one Walmart on the whole east side. And I know they was making a gang of Chad. And they closed it down, man. See what they would do, they make their money, then they move on. Talking about theft and violence. I frequented that store often, and it's cap. So I know a lot of these, media narratives be bullshit. Talking about war zones. And it just be regular ass shit, man. Regular, theft occurs. I'm just tired of you. I'm tired of the tether, like, we got enough shit to deal with, man. I'm gonna start calling y'all out by name. Because y'all fraudulent. So I don't care what y'all say about as far, like I said, I commend, you know, I wish DC well. But this government does not want, they have no interest in solving the issues in these inner cities. Shit been this way ever since I can remember. Been that way since my daddy was in them. So when are they talking about addressing the root causes of these issues? Oh yeah, I forgot. It's just that black folks don't want shit. We don't want better for our kids. We don't want a better life. We don't want to progress. You know, we love the trenches, just how they are. Yeah, you're right. It is something off with me. You know. But it is what it is, man. Like I said, same old song and dance. So I'm just saying though, y'all know very well the root causes of these issues go far, far beneath the surface of just RNs or YNs. It is what it is. No ops left, Scandal.